Hello, and welcome to Success Stories for Small Energy Customers. Today, we will be learning about Green E certified RECs.
All right. So we are joined today by Michelle McGinty from the Center for Resource Solutions, and she's going to let us know about Green E. So Michelle, take it away.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Ashby, and thank you for having me here. And yeah, great to hear the story prior to this. So yeah, you can go to the next slide. So yeah, I'm the Michelle McGinty, the Senior Program Outreach Manager here at Center for Resource Solutions. Just a little bit about us. So we are also a nonprofit. We've been around for over 25 years with the mission to create policy and market solutions to advance sustainable energy. To that effort, we have a few different work streams. We do some expert assistance projects. We also work on renewable energy and climate policy. We're not a lobbying organization, but mainly we give expert advice on REC accounting and carbon accounting, and especially how the voluntary and the compliance markets might interact. Under the policy team, we also launched the Clean Energy Accounting Project, or CAP for short, to tackle tricky clean energy accounting issues and create some consensus-based best practices. An example being the paper you see on the right on how to account for standard delivered renewable energy. So if you get X amount of renewables from your utility, how can you count that towards your goals? And there's lots of great resources there too. So I definitely recommend checking out CAP. We also host an annual conference called the Renewable Energy Markets Conference, which is actually next week in Washington, D.C. And then finally, what we're most well known for and what I'll focus on today is we administer the Green E certification program for buyers and users of voluntary renewable electricity, carbon offsets, and biomethane. Next slide. So for Green E, we have a few different programs. I'm going to focus today on Green E Energy, which is for renewable energy, electricity, and RECs. But just want to mention we also certify carbon offsets and biomethane, as well as marketing claims. Next, please. So there's many ways to source renewable energy, everything from self-generation, such as like those on-site facilities they were talking, direct purchasing, so directly from a generator, or more retail purchasing, such as through a utility, like through the consumer's energy example. But all of these procurement types have RECs that back them up, because that's what's really allowing you, the renewable energy certificate allows you to make the claim that you're using renewable electricity. So you need to retain the RECs for any type of renewable you're procuring to be able to make that claim. And that's where Green E comes in. We can certify, all these different types of procurement methods, either from, unbundled RECs all the way to utility green pricing programs and self-generation. Next slide, please. In fact, here's an example. According to NREL, these are the top 10 utility green pricing programs in 2021. And we're really excited that all of these utilities are participants in the Green E program. So it's definitely seen as best practice for voluntary procurement. Next, please. And the reason for that, just a little more about what Green E actually is. It's a consumer protection program for voluntary environmental commodities, in this case, renewable electricity products. So it involves third-party audits of any Green E certified seller. We're making sure you're getting exactly what was promised to you, and that they're using clear consumer disclosure, so you know exactly what type of renewables you're getting and where they're coming from. An important note is that we have an independent Green E governance board that sets our rules, so that it's not CRS staff, but in fact, these important stakeholders, such as representatives from the Union of Concerned Scientists, NRDC, and CDP, who are setting the Green E rules. And you can see here, really excited that in 2021, we certified over 110 million megawatt hours. So we're great to see the voluntary renewable energy market grow along with our program. And of those purchases, 309,000 were businesses. So you can only imagine a lot of those were small and medium-sized businesses. So we're happy to provide that role, especially for organizations that might not be experts in voluntary renewables. They know that Green E is looking out for them to make sure they're getting a high-quality product that's been third-party audited. Next, please. So some people ask, what's the difference between a REC tracking system and a third-party certification, such as Green E? So a REC tracking system is basically a ledger where you can see, when RECs are being produced and then when they're ultimately retired, when someone's actually claiming them. So I usually make that analogous to like your online bank account. You can see where the money's moving. In this case, you can see where the RECs are moving on this online database. Where our certification layers over that is actually narrowing down what type of renewables will qualify to meet certain environmental qualifications, which I'll review in a moment, and then actually auditing to make sure the RECs are moving in the right place and being retired in the right amounts. So I kind of, using that analogy again, we're kind of like the financial auditors, making sure that the money's moving in the right place. So the greenie audits are ensuring the RECs are going to the right individuals. Next, please. So a little bit more on what would qualify for greenie. So again, this is set by our governance board. So wind and solar, pretty straightforward, not many restrictions there. But biomass, for example, you can't just cut down a tree and burn it and call it sustainable resource. It has to be a byproduct of some other process. Same for hydro. It has to be low impact Hydropower Institute certified to mitigate the different environmental concerns with impounding water. Another big piece across all the resource types is this 15-year new date criteria. So the generator has to be less than 15 years old to qualify for a greenie certified product. The idea there is, one, most of the time voluntary purchasers want to support newer renewables, but it's also to align with our mission as a nonprofit to create that demand signal and encourage a growing renewable energy market by supporting younger renewables. It also has to be surplus to regulation. This is a really key point of greenie, is that if you're a voluntary customer taking voluntary action, you're going to want to move the needle above and beyond business as usual. And so greenie, we're taking track of all the different state requirements and regulations and make sure that your purchase is actually above and beyond something required by law. So you're not just subsidizing some state to get to some goal that they're required to otherwise, but that you're incremental to that. And that's really a key point because a lot of purchasers aren't, familiar with all these different state interactions. So we're Greenie's checking things outside of just the tracking system, but seeing how they might interact with state regulations. There's no double counting, selling, or claiming of the RECs. I think that's the biggest point and probably the most straightforward and through our audits where you ensure that. The greenhouse gas reduction benefits have to be included. This is actually comes into play in California, as well as the RGGI states in the Northeast, where sometimes there's a cap and trade environment for carbon, according to regulations. And there's some extra steps that need to occur in that situation to make sure the cap is actually affected so that you're actually having a greenhouse gas reduction benefit. So again, different types of interactions with regulations you might not think of, that Greenie is actually making sure you're actually getting greenhouse gas reduction benefit, because that's actually why you're probably procuring renewables in the first place. State-specific requirements and restrictions. So to that note, there's different kind of interactions like that we're looking out for. And there's vintage requirements. So we're making sure that the generation is occurring near to when the sale is being made. And this is all to align with the WRI's greenhouse gas protocol. So when you buy something that's Greenie certified, it's following the best practices of that protocol as well. And finally, I just have a little call out. Don't want to get too deep into this, but just make sure to request Greenie certified and make sure to look for Greenie certified products for all those benefits I mentioned. There's some terminology out there called CRS listed, or you might hear Greenie eligible or Greenie certifiable. That's not the same thing. It's not including those annual audits to make sure there's none of those interactions with different state regulations, as well as actually auditing to make sure you're getting what was promised to you. So just make sure to look for those words Greenie certified for all these benefits. Next, please. And yeah, as you can see, there's lots of benefits of getting Greenie certified, which was why it's, referenced or endorsed in a lot of different sustainability best practices, including that STARS program that was mentioned earlier for higher education. One I particularly call out is the U.S. Green Building Council's LEED certification. One way to gain points through that is by procuring Greenie certified supply specifically. So that's definitely a driver we see as well. Next, please. How to get started, this stuff will be shared later, but you can definitely go to our website at green-e.org/buy to see all the Greenie certified products, and you can filter it by your state and whether it's a bundled renewable energy or REC only product. There's also buycleanenergy.org. It's more designed for residential customers, but can also be used by small businesses. And the cool thing here is you can look by zip code to see what bundled renewable energy options are available in your area that are Greenie certified. Next, please. Finally, I just want to mention the Greenie Marketplace program. I alluded to it earlier, but it's basically a buyer side program. So once you actually buy the Greenie certified renewables, then you're going to want to talk about it and make claims about using that. And so this program is designed where we can actually validate your claim and give you the ability to use our logo either on product itself. So we have over 1,000 products saying this product's made with 100% renewable electricity with the Greenie logo, or just on your corporate sustainability report or on your website, or Bank of America, for example, certifying locations such as their branches in ATM. So you can help us be your experts in making sure you're making appropriate renewable energy claims and use our logo to build trust with customers and stakeholders. Next, please. Here's a plug for our conference next week. So if you happen to be in Washington, D.C. or in that area and want to nerd out about renewable energy, I'd love to meet you and see you there. Next, please. And that's all. So here's my contact information. As I mentioned, we're a nonprofit. We're all about education. So if there's any way we can help or you have any questions about the Greenie programs or further interest in Greenie Marketplace, happy to connect with you further.